Hello, gods and goddesses. Thank you all for being a Patreon. I do want to apologize before I start this video. I was supposed to start posting at the end of July, so I'm a little behind. So what I'm going to do is make up for that and post several videos this week to catch up for the videos that I was supposed to post starting at the end of July. I had my sons here for the summertime and they just recently went home and there was a lot going on. So I do want to apologize for that before I start this video off. The subject of this video is going to be about shadow work. As I expressed to you all in your messages, I will be catering to your needs so that way you can get the information that you need and I'm able to work with you all on a one-on-one basis and fulfill those requests for you all. One of you all had asked me if shadow work was the same as inner child work, and it's not the same thing. You have an inner child, and your inner child does have traumas. But when it comes to shadow work, what shadow work is basically facing yourself in the mirror and not just looking at the physical, it's more so internal. So all the ugly parts of yourself that you want to address and that you want to heal from and that you want to change. And that's very hard for a lot of people to do. A lot of people don't want to look at the ugliness within, and so they avoid it as much as they possibly can. And there's no growth in doing that. So when you're doing shadow work, and how to do shadow work is to start recognizing the ugly parts of yourself that you have within you, because we all have toxic traits. There's a spectrum, and on one end there's empathy, and on the other end there's narcissism. And you choose what part of that spectrum that you want to live on. You may be a very empathetic person but have narcissistic traits, or you may be narcissistic and for the most part and have a little bit of empathetic traits, or maybe you're just a full-blown narcissist that doesn't know how to embrace empathy at all. Or you can just be totally empathetic. There are gurus out there, people that have elevated to that state of consciousness to be able to embrace that spectrum solely and fully. So in order to do the shadow work, you're going to pinpoint the traits, the ugly things about yourself that you don't like. That's what you're going to have to recognize first before you can change it. Then you're going to work on changing it, and that's going to be hard. There's going to be a lot of purging. There's going to be a lot of crying and releasing, because you have to remember, you've been walking your whole life doing these things and participating in these behaviors, and so it's going to take a long time for you to change them. It's not going to happen overnight. I was raised by a narcissist. My mother is very narcissistic. I can't say that she's a full-blown narcissist because she does show empathetic traits, but at the same time, I also feel like her empathetic traits are not genuine either, which is why I feel like she's a full-blown narcissist. But I can't really say that because I'm not a trained psychologist to be able to make that call. But because I was raised by a narcissistic mother, I have narcissistic traits. And I started doing my shadow work like in 2017. It's a never-ending process because I've been walking all of my life. I'll be 43 years old this year, thinking that those behaviors that she taught me was okay. I was never corrected on my behavior. And how could I be? Because my mother thought that her behavior was okay. So now that I know better, I can do better. But it's not going to be a change that happens overnight. I still battle with narcissistic traits. There's things that I still do that's narcissistic. You're going to cry. You're going to be mad at yourself sometimes because it's pieces of you that you don't like that you notice that you do, and you want to purge from them. You want to release them. You want to get them out of your system. But because they're so ingrained in you, it's going to take a while, a long while, for you to overcome that. Don't beat yourself up about it, especially when you recognize those traits within yourself that you don't like and you catch yourself doing them. Be proud of yourself for how far that you've come, because this is a major step. There's so many people out there that are not even healing themselves. And then there's people out there that are healing themselves, but they're not even doing the shadow work because it's so excruciating. They'll heal from their childhood traumas. Let's say maybe their parents abused them, but they won't do the shadow work and look at the ugly parts of themselves. So they can heal from the traumas that they went through, but then they won't even polish their inner being to be a better person and look at all the ugly traits that they have to even change themselves. For example, someone can heal an aspect of their self, a trauma that they endured within their childhood or within their lifetime, but still not polish their inner being. So they can be healed from, let's say, an abusive relationship, but still have narcissistic traits because they're not doing the shadow work. So they healed themselves from the abuse, but won't look in the mirror at all the ugly parts of themselves so that they can heal that too. So that's why I said at the beginning, healing your inner child is totally different than shadow work. So the first step is going to be recognizing the traits. And the second step is going to be doing whatever you need to do to polish those traits, to be a better person. So those are the steps that you have to take to do shadow work. It's not a lot of steps, but it is a long, excruciating process. So like I said, be proud of yourself for making it this far and even tapping in to wanting to do the shadow work, because there's so many people out there that's not even doing it, that won't even try. Thank you all for watching and listening. Ashe.